Josh, I'm going to go ahead and hand you this ring. And now this is what I want you to do. I want you to take her hand, and I want you to hold her hand. Okay. And just hold it for a second. Don't put the ring on yet. And I want you both to look at me right now, okay? This is a really important part. See, oftentimes when we talk about the rings, and when you read about the rings, and when you see them on Instagram, and there's a lot of things attached to them, a part of our pop culture, and they would say something as if the ring represents our love for one another because it has no beginning and it has no end. But we, in fact, know that your love had a beginning, and that one day when you go home to be with Jesus, your love on earth will have an end. So it's silly to think that these rings somehow represent our love for one another. But there is a love that has no beginning and that has no end, and that's the love of Christ for you. See, when you look at that ring on a bad day, you don't think, I need to love my wife. You think, God has been so gracious and so loving to me. And then from that place, you can love your wife. And Jeannie, when you look down at that ring and you're having a hard day and you remember those vows that seem impossible to keep, you're not reminded of your power or your love, but you're reminded of God's love for you. And from that place, you're able to love your husband. So Josh, as you slowly kind of put that ring on her finger, but not all the way, about halfway, I want you to look into her eyes, and I want you to repeat this after me. Jeannie, you are now consecrated to me.
You are now consecrated to me
as my wife.
as my wife.
From this day forward, I give you this ring
I give you this ring
as a symbol of our unity, bound together by Christ's love.
by Christ's love.
Jeannie, I'm going to give you this ring. Now I want you to grab Josh's hand. I want you to hold that manly, magical hand. Go ahead and slide that ring on that finger. Not all the way, just halfway. And I want you to look into his eyes, and I would like you to repeat this after me. Josh, you are now consecrated to me as my husband. From this day forward, I give you this ring as a symbol of our unity, bound together by Christ's love. Go ahead and slide it on all the way. And now, why don't you guys go ahead and just take both hands and hold her hands. Yeah, there you go. And I want you to look at her, and I'm just going to read something to you. And I love this because there's a man named Matthew Henry, and he was a theologian, and he writes about how what we do today is a representative of what happened in the garden with Adam and Eve, the first husband and wife. So as you look at each other, I want you to meditate on these words written by Matthew Henry. Eve was not taken out of Adam's head to rule over him, neither out of his feet to be trampled on by him, but out of his side to be equal with him, under his arm to be protected by him, and near his heart to be loved by him. See, Josh, Jeannie is to remain by your side. She is your partner. She is your helper. She is your encouragement. And she is your reward from Christ. The scripture says that a man that finds a wife finds a good thing. It also says that God gives us a spouse comparable to us. And Jeannie, you have the privilege to forever be under his arm. forever close to his heart. In every adventure, and in every valley, and in every mountaintop, you two journey together, always going after God's best for your life. And that's why the Apostle Mark says God made them male and female from the beginning of creation. This explains why a man leaves his father and mother and is joined to his wife. The two are united into one. Since they are no longer two but one, let no one split apart what God has joined together.